Hello, I'm Mark Lane. I'm a BBC gardening presenter and a multi-award-winning garden designer. Welcome to my garden. Today I'm going to talk about beautiful roses in your garden. So if you want some tips and tricks, you've come to the right place. There's no doubt that roses are one of the most popular flowers to grow in Britain. In fact, so many are planted each year that if you set them out in a single row, they would encircle the equator. With the proper care and maintenance, you can expect your roses to last for at least 20 years. First, what's the difference between potted and bare root roses? With potted plants, the bare roots have been wrapped with compost and put into a pot to keep them moist during transportation. This extra bit of protection prevents them from drying out and allows them to get off to a flying start. Between November and March, however, you can also buy some but not all varieties bare root. In other words, without any soil on them whatsoever. They've been grown in open fields, lifted just before delivery with very little root disturbance, and need to be planted immediately upon receipt. Yet, if you want to plant roses at any time of the year, so long as the ground isn't frozen or waterlogged, then potted roses is the best way forward. When it comes to selecting roses, there are of course hundreds of different ones. You can go for bush roses, climbing roses, rambling roses, hybrid tea roses, polyantha, floribunda, grandiflora, miniature and species roses. A little research to start with is always advisable to find the right rose for you and the conditions within your garden. Today, I'm going to chat about 5 glorious Floribunda roses. But what is a Floribunda rose? Well, these were originally produced by crossing hybrid teas with polyantha roses. They create a mass of colour by bearing many flowers held in large clusters. In fact, few plants can produce so much colour over such a long season. Many Floribundas have little scent, although more fragrant varieties are now appearing, such as the ones that I'm going to share with you today. The great thing about Floribunda roses is that they are ideal for growing in mixed borders as well as pots and containers. So if you're tight on space, then you can still grow a colourful scented rose in your space. They're also hardy, more robust and more disease resistant than hybrid tea roses. In other words, they're easier to grow, which is always a bonus. Now my maternal grandmother's garden was full of roses, but I always remember visiting and having to pick off the dead or diseased leaves and squishing green fly between my fingers. All my brother and I wanted to do was play outside, but we always had rose duty. So as a nod to my grandparents, I now have a dedicated rose border. But I've been thinking about adding more roses, but within my existing borders, and therefore really wanted to give Floribundas a go. But I want to plant them in a modern way with herbs, herbaceous perennials and ornamental grasses. The 5 varieties I have are Fab at 60, Happy Retirement, Friendship, Burgundy Ice and Amber Queen. Now it's early August in my garden, so the potted roses already have quite a lot of growth. If you order yours for early spring, then please don't be surprised if it arrives with only 15 centimetres of growth. This is because the roses have been carefully pruned back by the nursery during the colder months to ensure strong, healthy growth throughout the growing season. Later in the year, your potted rose may well come with several buds ready to flower, just like the ones I have. Fab at 60 is a gorgeous deep red rose and is a good repeat flower and has a medium fragrance. In fact, I can catch it now on the wind. It gets to about 80 centimetres in height and spreads to 60 centimetres, so it's ideal in the middle of a border or in a large pot. The perfect gift to celebrate a 60th birthday. I planted mine alongside Euphorbia and Flomis for great textural planting. Happy Retirement forms graceful light pink flowers that release a delicate floral scent. It's easy to grow and is repeat flowering. Again, this wonderful variety is a lovely way to celebrate a loved one's retirement or even as a treat to yourself. It has additionally achieved the RHS Award of Garden Merit, which is proof that it has a reliable nature, is resistant to pests and disease, and has commended flowers and foliage. And this too gets to about 80 centimetres by 60 centimetres. Now I've underplanted mine with Calaminta nepeta with a backdrop of Eupatorium maculatum purple bush. The small clusters of flowers on both neighbouring plants highlight the light pink flowers of this celebratory rose. Friendship forms clusters of creamy blooms on burgeoning glossy green foliage. It repeats flowers from May really until the first frosts, and is an excellent gift idea for a close friend, where it will happily grow in borders, beds and pots. The graceful flowers of this rose also release an exquisite scent, making this plant a lovely addition to your patio space, where you can best enjoy the fragrance. A great gift for your best friend or yourself again. It gets to about 80 centimetres by 60 centimetres. I recently added some white borders in my garden, so this I'm going to plant alongside Achillea tarnica and the white sanguisorba. Rose Burgundy Ice is a free-flowering Floribunda rose that will flower ceaselessly until autumn. It forms clusters of deep plum blooms with velvet-like petals, which contrast strikingly against their handsome green foliage. Paired with its delicate fragrance and hardy nature, this rose will make a wonderful addition to a mixed border, but it can also be grown in a container. Burgundy Ice will be happy in any aspect apart from north facing, but is ideally placed in an open sunny site in moist, well-drained soil. Again, it gets to about 80 centimetres by 60 centimetres. Now I love ornamental grasses, which you can probably see behind me, so I've planted this alongside the Millennia palpeterson, the red leaves of Cotinus cogagria, Persicaria and the rust orange spires of Digitalis ferruginea gigantea. Repeat flowering during summertime, Amber Queen is a perfect choice if you're into warmer colours. Its delightful golden amber blooms will illuminate your garden even on the rainiest of days, with their jewel-like appearance contrasting strikingly against their shiny green foliage, which will look particularly beautiful on a dewy morning. First introduced in 1984, Amber Queen has become a widely loved Floribunda variety where it will grow contently in pots and containers, making it a lovely choice for patio gardens and even balcony spaces. Now this one grows to about 75 centimetres by 60 centimetres, and this has been planted alongside thyme and Hylotaliphium or sedum. The thyme makes the rose shine, while the Hylotaliphium will keep the display going for months on end. And I'm just going to plant this one also in a lovely terracotta pot that I've got here. This is a nice deep pot, and all you can see in the bottom actually there's a big hole, and that's for your drainage. So what you want to do, you want to add some crocks into the bottom just to cover the hole, so that when you add the soil it doesn't go all the way out the bottom. Now I would always advise that when you're dealing with roses to wear a good pair of gloves just like these. These are really good. They hug really well. You've got full grip within them, and they have a wonderful suede bit here which protects you from the rose. Well, so what you want to do, you want to add a little bit into the bottom. You then want to take your rose. Now you can see here, you can see that this brown bit here, and then you can see where the stems are all coming out. So what you want to do, you want to plant it at the same sort of depth to 2 to 3 centimeters below the soil in your pot or even in the ground. Now I'm adding some mycorrhizal fungi, which I'm going to talk to you a bit in a moment. Sprinkle some into the bottom, then sprinkle some onto the roots as you add the rose into the pot. Put that in there, and then backfill with your compost, and I'll talk about the compost in a minute as well. So gently get all that all the way down to the sides. Don't firm it in too much, because when you water it, that will settle all of the soil around it. Give it a tap and you're done.